r/ask Reddit. What strange events have gotten swept under the rug like they didn't even happen? Starting last summer, there have been unidentified snipers taking out random cars on different parts of I-10 in New Orleans, and nothing has come of it, and nobody's really talking about it. I mean, gang and drug violence, neighborhood drive-bys and the occasional bourbon shooting are one thing to ignore, but interstate snipers? Nobody finds that interesting? It's still happening. In 2020, New Orleans saw an average of 2 interstate shootings per month. And on the 12th of January, a news release from the New Orleans Police Department detailed more than 30 interstate shootings in the Crescent City in 2021. 6 days later, they added 4 more victims to their list, just before 3 p.m. on Jan. 18. A Tuesday, a sniper killed 34-year-old Whitney Watts as she traveled eastbound on Interstate 10. Police realized something was amiss when the victim's black car crashed into a guardrail at the Crowder Boulevard exit in New Orleans East. The coroner found Whitney's assailant shot her multiple times. Earlier that morning, another I-10 gunshot hit a man on Michoud Boulevard, and the Saturday morning before that, Jan. 15. The interstate sniper killed a 52-year-old man and wounded a 45-year-old woman on I-10 at Esplanade Avenue. Ironically, the United States' most infamous highway snipers killed only 7 people. Far less than the multitude of attacks recounted here. If NOPD can connect even half of these shootings, the wound count of this new I-10 sniper surpasses that of the D.C. Beltway snipers. What the duck? It's got to be the rate at which people are being killed, cause when the DC snipers went on their rampage, it was all the news would talk about. Location, location, location. Maybe that's why media gave so much more coverage to the DC snipers. In my hometown there was some sort of audit and it found that $8 million of taxpayer money was missing. It's a conspiracy now. Where I live, a very well-known green and gold tractor company stuck their multi-million-dollar expansion tax bill on the people of the small town, and they got away with it. My taxes went up $800 that year and only went down $300 the next. I hate that green and gold tractor company. If people only knew how scummy that company really is. John Deere, you need to relax. T.I. open bracket, rapper, and his wife have serially drugged and raped over 30 victims, according to 30+ allegations. If you Google T.I., it doesn't even come up unless you specifically search for it. Haven't heard about this, but it's not far-fetched. The same creep who bragged about routinely getting his daughter's hymen checked to ensure she's still a virgin. That poor girl. If they proudly made that public, I don't want to even think about what secrets they keep private. Not just getting it checked, but going with her to do it, and continued to do so at least until she was 18 years old. Asked on the Ladies Like Us podcast about sex education for his children, he said, "Not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her hymen. Yes, I go with her. I will say, as of her 18th birthday, her hymen is still intact." He acknowledged a woman's hymen can be broken outside of sexual activity, but counted by saying, "So then they come and say, well, I just want you to know that there are other ways besides sex that the hymen can be broken, like bike riding, athletics, horseback riding and just other forms of athletic physical activity." So I say, "Look, doc, she don't ride no horses, she don't ride no bike, she don't play no sports. Just check the hymen, please, and give me back my results expeditiously. https://www.theguardian.com music/2019/nov/07/T rapper daughter hymen check outrage such a creepy, possessive ducker." The Las Vegas shooting. The worst mass shooting in America's history. Dozens dead. Hundreds injured. No one has any idea why this random dude stockpiled weapons and went on a mass murder spree, or why he ended when he did. We all just collectively went, "I guess we'll never know," and then forgot about it. The FBI concluded the same thing. They said he had gone to a great effort to conceal his thoughts and motivations and never left behind any kind of journal, etc. Everyone wants answers, but sometimes it's no easy task to find. There's things unfortunately we'll never know. If he had documented head trauma, for example, that could be a reason for why he did what he did. But a lot of people don't like that answer. It's not satisfactory. That's why so many conspiracy theories are made. People don't get the answers they want, so they make it up. One man couldn't possibly be responsible. It was multiple shooters. It was a massive terrorist attack. That kinda BS. I can't remember exactly what the narrative was people were making up, but I hate it when people think they know more than the actual investigators. Unfortunately, he shot himself and we'll never know. Panama Papers. And now again with the Pandora Papers. And the Paradise Papers. Beyoncé sang at a private concert for the Gaddafi family in 2008. The only reason why I know this is because it was a footnote in a sociology book about the power dynamics in government-neglected regions. Mariah Carey, Lionel Richie, and Usher with her too. Mariah Carey will do anything for those megabucks, shady lady. Several nuclear weapons the US DoD straight up lost. If I recall correctly, they're highly confident that they were lost at sea and are rusting away harmlessly at the bottom of the ocean. However, I also remember reading that the Soviet Union lost track of a few during the collapse and we genuinely have no idea where they could be. So that's fun. I mean, it's not nuclear, but unexploded bombs are the reason they are worried about cluster bombing used by Russia, because way less than 75% actually detonate. Congress being able to insider trade legally. Yeah, I've heard of this, but I got little idea about it. Is there a video or article that can explain this well? Edit. So much information on here. Thank you so much everyone. Thankfully I am on my day off, so I am gonna spend my day reading about all of this. https://en.m Wikipedia. Org Wiki corruption. Robinhood shutting off the buy button to stop GameStop's price from climbing. Jon Stewart just did a podcast and TV episode on it, and HBO just came out with a show about this. I was thinking more about how Robinhood's shitty customer service and general practices led to a 17-year-old committing suicide when he was erroneously told he owed someone a few $100,000 and no one from the app responded to all his panicked messages and calls. Then after he died, Robinhood sent him a message saying, "Oh, yep, computing accounting error. Our bad. LOL." The Phoenix Lights. My whole immediate family and tons of people on the street we lived on saw the aircraft come overhead. We all stood there speechless and terrified until it passed, and the whole block freaked out. Nobody will ever convince me it was flares. We all saw the outline and structure of the craft clearly. It was so big and slow, it was amazing it was staying in the air. My hair still stands on end even thinking about it right now. I know absolutely nothing about this. Thanks for the interesting ad. Afterwards, the governor held a press conference saying they were going to reveal who was responsible. During the press conference, he brought out a guy dressed in an alien costume and proceeded to make fun of all the eyewitnesses. They did everything they could to gaslight the whole city into thinking they didn't see anything. Boris Johnson lockdown parties. He was on the verge of being forced out of office, and then, oh, there's a war now, we've got other stuff to worry about. His illegal shenanigans are being swept under, unlike his hair. That hair is illegal. The Metcalf sniper attack. Some unknown gunman utilizing military tactics attacked a California power substation under cover of night. The attack included cutting targeted telecommunication lines beforehand. As far as I've ever been able to tell, they never figured out who did it or why. Or they did make arrests and the media didn't bother to follow up. This one's really interesting. It's unlikely to be part of another hit that they had to abort, because anything of enough importance would have backup power and connectivity. My tinfoil theory is it was a letter agency job to encourage the private companies to invest in better security and even more redundancy XD. 60 Minutes just did a story on this, in the context of a larger vulnerability to the power grid. Apparently destroying as few as 5 substations could cripple the entire grid. The leader of Scientology's wife vanished after an argument in 2005. Nobody knows what happened to her. Scientology is weirdly not talked about for something that so many people know about: so many sexual assault claims, deaths and other sketchy stuff associated with them, yet actors that funnel money into them still find prominent roles. They still have churches seemingly everywhere. It's public knowledge that there's a threat to Scientology. List just so bizarre, man. Random scary clowns in like 2016. They were a sign of things to come. This is one of my favorite explanations for anything I've ever read, even though you were joking. It was just straight up real life symbolism. Ghislaine Maxwell knew many names, yet no one was publicly mentioned. It came out in her trial that the FBI lost a ton of the evidence taken from the Epstein Mansion raid, which included tons of DVDs, and that was just a footnote in the trial. Ah, yes, the pedos sure got lucky. What are the odds? Open bracket. 100%. Because I'm certain it was planned. The anthrax attacks straight after 9/11, seemingly unconnected and no one was ever charged. From memory, largely forgotten. There was a guy that became the #1 suspect, but then he killed himself. So no one was charged and it was all hung on this guy. The attacks were scary enough, but the investigation and resulting suicide are just plain crazy. Look up Bruce Edwards Ivins. Such a sad story. It was domestic terrorism. The Gov police forgot about it when it stopped, as it was embarrassing when they were trying to blame Saddam for everything. A US general went on UK TV, David Frost's show, and justified taking out Saddam. He's got anthrax. There's anthrax being posted in the US. Two totally unrelated statements as well. He knew. The mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of Casey Kasem, the original voice of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Looks like I found my 3 AM rabbit hole, haha. Wasn't his family accused of elder abuse? Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, where she got convicted of selling children to nobody. Last I heard was it was in progress. The next phase of prosecutions is being worked on now. They can't really say anything until they are ready to make arrests. In my hometown, the police chief was accused of having sexual relations with an underage girl. The father of the girl was one of the officers on the force. He was later found dead near the property of the chief. People believe he was there to confront the chief about the relations. 9/11 happened, and the attention of the public got focused on the nation's tragedy. He is now the mayor. Kind of random, but last summer it got to be 50 degrees Celsius in Greater Vancouver, BC, highest recorded temperature in Canada ever, and the next day the city of Lytton burned down. It was a phenomenon called a heat dome. It was really scary because no one ever thought it could get that hot here, and a ton of people died because only about 60% of places have AC. It was one of the scariest things I've ever been through. No one talks about it at all anymore, and that is terrifying to me. That is crazy. I live in the deep south of US and it doesn't even get that hot here. It was really bad because we have humidity here too. And it went on for about a week. I'm totally cool if I never get hot in my life again. The Phoenix 2015 freeway shooter, the only suspect was clear and so far no updates. There were reports of copycats or perhaps paranoia. For example, small rock hitting window and people mistaking it for a gunshot in other states that year, but those two came and went. We had the same issue on Klein Avenue in Northwest Indiana in 2006. Went on for a few weeks and then stopped. Must have been small caliber or a pellet gun. Identifying all the rich men who participated in Jeffrey Epstein's island. Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Alex Acosta dropped criminal charges against Epstein. He was subsequently appointed US Secretary of Labor. He resigned over his connection to the case. No one talks about him anymore. There's more there to uncover. Like, what was in all those boxes hauled out of all the residences? From the Carib, NYC, NM and who knows where else. Nobody seemed to remember Ukrainian passenger flight being shot down by Iranian government last year. I think because experts determined exactly what happened within a couple of days, despite the Iranian government's poor initial attempt to cover it up. The fire at the JFK Museum records during the Boston bombings. I am pretty surprised how no one really reacted when the Navy and Pentagon said UFOs were real and we don't know what they are, or have anything that can really match and fight them. Not saying it's aliens and UAP instead of UFO. That's literally what a UFO is. an unidentified flying object, often proclaimed in official documentation as a UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomena. It's unidentified and keeping with typical government disclosure, that's all they said. It's unidentified. Could it be some super secret thing some country on Earth has developed? Maybe. Could it be some otherworldly drone? Maybe. Could it be a submersible object? Maybe. As far as disclosure, they're just stating it's unidentified and the public can take that for what it is. And a ton of people in the conspiracy and UFO subs did, and are currently, reacting speculating. It's not like the Navy said yup, aliens, then everyone just pushed it under the rug. The New York District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, no longer charges armed robbery as a felony. It's now misdemeanor petite larceny, meaning that an armed robber won't even lose his rights to carry a weapon if he gets caught and convicted. Yeah, the bail reform in NY has been a terrible mess. Like, I get that people want to not have people spend a long time behind bars because of parking tickets, but violent crimes being misdemeanors and judges having to let people go for those is not the solution. There needs to be a complete overhaul of this. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.